Welcome to the Rest of Us podcast. Today it's just me and Lucas kicking it here. We had a very eventful Sunday. We had just actually a crazy weekend. My parents were in town, but by in town, technically that does not mean that they were in Atlanta because they don't like driving to Atlanta. So they went to Tennessee where my aunt and uncle have moved to. And we went all the way up to Tennessee. It was like 3 hours and 25 minutes away. And we drove there and back in a day. And then yesterday, we kind of were just catching up. I don't know if you guys have this problem where you come back from a trip and then unloading takes like 4 weeks I don't even think we've unpacked everything we packed for that trip now that I think about it.
I have.
I don't think I have.
My stuff's unpacked. I unpacked everything.
It's actually not terrible because it's in my gi bag, and we were just talking about how we're probably going to shower when we go to the gym when this podcast comes out tomorrow, if we make it to the gym. We also have been struggling to make it to the gym because it is now below 50 degrees sometimes in the morning.
It gets cold.
It gets cold, and we went through this rage of cleaning 8 weeks ago because we were like, we're going to get all new stuff because our athletic-y sweatpants situation was looking really, really worn down. And I went on a walk and a couple, what's the politically correct term? A couple unhoused people looked at me and said, "What's up?" So I was like, it's time to get new sweatpants because I feel like normally when I just wear normal things, people ignore me, and it doesn't. My Adidas running shoes that were $180 2 years ago are old and I need to replace, and like
now it looks like they're owned by the unhoused.
Yeah, because there's your running sneakers when they get a certain amount of dingy just looks
like shit.
It looks bad. So I feel like between those and then my faded sweatpants, we threw out a bunch of stuff. So now I have 2 to 3 pairs of sweatpants to work with, and we wake up in the morning, we're like, we have nothing. Because once you wear sweatpants to the gym,
you can't wear it. You have to wash it.
You have to wash it.
It goes right in the laundry. But if you're going every single day, it's going to the laundry, and you're like, okay, well, that was the one pair I had. 3 pairs that I have. I'm like, all right, if I wear that pair of sweatpants more than one day in a row, or need to wear those sweatpants more than one day, you need like 6 pairs, because if you're going to go to jiu-jitsu and it's cold outside,
you have to put it over your no-gi stuff.
Yeah, and then when you come home, you're going to put it over your no-gi stuff that you wore on the way home, because you're like, all right, whatever, I'm not going to get entirely changed. Like, you can change as much as you want. Even if you changed all your clothes, you're still sweaty when you put that on, so you're like, I need to wash it anyways.
And you're technically supposed to go to, I don't know, if you're new to jiu-jitsu, you might know this, but you're technically supposed to go to the gym and not the clothes that you train in. The theory being, if you're wearing clean clothes and you sit in your car, whatever kind of car that is, for example, Lucas does construction, and there's all walks of life that do jiu-jitsu. So if you're wearing your training clothes in your car and then you go and train, you're taking whatever in your car onto the mats, whereas if you were wearing something over your training clothes and then you take your training, or you take that off, or maybe you like change into your training clothes, then your training clothes are isolated to the training facility, right. And then you change out of that into something, either what you showed up in and wore to class or just something else, and then you go home. So that way you kind of limit as much possible pathogens taking it onto the mat.
Yeah.
If you are going to wear something, though, you wear your clean clothes to the gym and not your dirty clothes home. Because That's another thing people do, is they will drive home in their training clothes that are sweaty and full of all of that bacteria and fungus and whatever gunk that is on the mat.
Jump right back in their car.
And they jump back in their car and they go home and they shower and they change their clothes, and then they wear their clean training clothes and get into the same car seat.
Yep.
And then go drive to class. And then everyone's like, why do we all have staff? So that's kind of the thing.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
The deuce.
If you're new, we didn't know this. Like, I think they call them, there's like memes that call them the dressers, the people who show up to class dressed up like in their gi. They drive in their car in their gi, and like they just put their white belt on when they get to the gym.
Yeah.
And technically you're supposed to change into your training clothes at the facility, but it's hard when you have like one bathroom, a changing, like maybe half of a changing room or something like that.
Yeah.
So I found it easy because the gym that we were training at the time had only a couple of changing rooms for how many people were getting onto the mats for classes. So I would just put stuff over my training clothes and then take off the stuff like where you could change in public.
Because at least that's a barrier.
Yeah, it's one barrier. And then most
layer.
of the time I'm like, either I would take, if it was really gross, I would throw that stuff in a bag. If it wasn't really gross and it was just like, okay, I just took class and was on the mats, because, you know, you're still on the mats and taking that stuff off with you, I would just put the stuff over my clothes if I didn't actually spar and then just go home.
Yeah.
So, but lately I've been kind of lazy and my car is relatively clean, and I do hit everything with like a Lysol spray, including the inside of my gi bag. That's something I've been a little bit better about, is like spraying the inside of my gi bag. So I think I'm all 80% of the content on this podcast is how not to get staph.
Yeah.
That's, I think, you know, female driven. So very different than what men are concerned with, who will.
I'm like, I'll get staph and have it for a month and a half.
You've never gotten a skin infection yet, though,
No,
right? Knock
never.
on wood. Yeah,
I'm Irish, so I'm built for the outdoors.
Yeah, Lucas has not. He doesn't train as much as me.
Hey.
With gross people, is what I was gonna say.
Okay. I have a good choice of people to fucking roll with. All right?
Yeah, Lucas knows who has staph, and he's like,
Yeah. I'm like, hey, stinky boy, get over there.
Yeah.
You go fucking roll with your boys.
Yeah.
Nah, not today.
You guys could all have a staph party.
Not today, Satan. And
Yeah.
I push him away.
It's normally not the girls, because the girls, as soon as they get something that's gross, they like
No,
sit out. I'm just gonna be
they
safe
just
for
are
3
like,
days.
I don't know what this is, and they freak out, even if it's just like a regular pimple that you get on a normal basis.
I'm kind of paranoid too when I even work out at like group exercise. I know like we wipe down everything with our dingy looking cloths and stuff, but it's just you're touching
like
weight
those-
medicine balls with
I feel like
other
those cloths
stuff.
are just like to make pretend that you're cleaning things
Yeah,
up.
because you're like doing it in a zigzag. You're not fully wiping
Yeah,
everything
I'm like,
down.
I'm not like
They
wiping
don't
this
wash
thing down.
they're not washing the cloths.
I mean, I will say this: it's probably better than not at all. You know.
Yeah.
So
I almost feel like though gym equipment almost has to be wiped down relatively by the hour, the way that they do mats after class, I
they're
think.
supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this is also one of those reasons I'm not one of those girls that wear these tiny sports bras and tiny shorts and lay on benches with my bare back, because I just,
Oh yeah.
sometimes skin infections aren't necessarily from skin to skin
Girls,
talk.
you girls get skin infections a lot easier than guys do.
Yeah, surprisingly though, a lot of girls who do train like that in those type of clothing, like don't actually get skin infections. And then you have to think of like women who are doing Pilates. There's probably not a bunch of dirty dudes on their Pilates equipment the way that they would be if
Yeah,
you went
that's
to
true.
a gym where you would get it. But even, I mean, I have a friend who teaches yoga, and we got coffee not that recently, recently, not that long ago. And she was telling me, I don't remember if it was her or one of her fellow teachers got staph. And she's like, I bring my own blocks. Because there's like a wall of all those hot yoga blocks.
Yeah.
And you also kind of like BS wipe the thing down and then throw it back on the shelf. And
Yeah.
then there's not enough time. It doesn't dry out. The next class is in there. It's hot and sweaty. It's never an environment where it dries out or gets sunlight. It's like always hot and humid in there for like 9 hours.
That's the whole point of the place.
Yeah. And so sometimes also like I'll get one of the rental mats. Also, I guess we're really fortunate in Atlanta that the mats are kind of included in the yoga. I don't always have to bring a mat. Other places, if you're like training and if you're taking a yoga class in New York, you're going to be paying like a fee for the mat, for the towel, for all of the things that you're renting and things like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm tired.
Lucas is tired. Speaking of sleeping, Lucas told me that I talk in my sleep.
Yep.
2 days ago.
Nights ago.
I've never done it
Rachel.
before, and like the whole time we've been sleeping together.
16 years of us being around each other, I've never heard you talk in your sleep. And 2 nights ago, it was the cutest thing ever, because you were like, no. No. And I was like, what is she saying?
I feel like this is a normal interaction that I would have with you.
Yeah.
No. Giggle.
No, that's not what I was saying. I felt like that was what it was. And no, I'm not like you, who will be like, hey, by the way, what are you talking about over there? I didn't engage in conversation while you were sleeping to save you embarrassment, because you had no idea what you were saying. I had no idea what you were saying. So I just listened.
Yeah, because, Lucas is referring to...
Because Rachel will talk to me if anything that comes out of my mouth while I'm sleeping, if I'm like... And And she'd be like, oh, is that right, honey? What's going on in your brain? What's happening? And I'd be like, I pulled it 3 times and then did this thing over the side. And she's like, what did you do over the side? And I'd be like, just, we get... And then she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Lucas. Why are you saying these things? And I'm clearly asleep.
I love talking to Lucas.
And this woman is still talking to me like, oh, look at this buffoon saying things that don't mean anything. Yeah, I'm asleep.
Maybe I do it because you're cute. But Lucas doesn't talk on his own in his sleep like you got to enjoy and watch me. If I don't talk to you, you don't talk. So I have to talk.
Why are you talking to me while I'm sleeping?
I want to hear you talk because it's so cute.
I don't know. That seems a little crazy.
Yeah, I really enjoy that.
Yeah, it's a bit wild that you do that.
Yeah, but that Lucas has, you kind of have always been not necessarily talked in your sleep, but you've been able to talk in your sleep.
Yeah.
I notoriously, I don't know about you guys, but when I dream, I don't dream. I'm never able to speak in my dreams. Like, it's a noticeable thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm dreaming. When you try to say something and you're like, oh, I
could speak in my dreams. I just, I can't yell. Like if I'm beating the shit out of somebody,
are you like communicating, or do you know that you're saying something out loud in your dream?
I'm saying shit and people just aren't listening to me. Like I'm fucking talking and I'm like, hey, fucking, we're not doing this. Or this is what we're going to do. And then everyone just they just keep running about their own business. And then and if I get in a fight with somebody and I'm beating the fuck out of someone, I got vivid dreams of I'm just wailing on someone. Problem is like every time I hit them, they're unfazed. And I'm hitting them as hard as I can.
I've never hit anyone in my dreams.
I'm wailing on them like bam, bam, bam. Like I'm in top mount, dropping bombs, just elbows, fists, everything. And for some reason, they're just completely conscious, didn't faze me at all.
I specifically...
And then that makes me more angry. And I want to beat the shit out of them some more. And then the more I fight them and beat them up, the more they're just completely all right, see you later. And then they just get up and go.
If you're a person who interprets dreams, please put in the
I know.
comments.
I guarantee a bunch of dudes have that dream. I guarantee. I already talked to a few of my friends. They've had dreams where they're fighting and they're beating the shit out of somebody, especially people they hate. Because that's always fun. Because you're I'm gonna wallop the shit out of this guy, and they just start just going at it. And for some reason, you can feel it in your body that you're exerting 100% effort into the punches. I'm gonna kill this guy. This is what I'm doing. And for some reason, that person just and they get up and go,
do you see faces in your dream, or do you just know who they are?
I see faces. I know who exactly. They look just like them too.
Wow.
It's been a while since I've had a dream like that. I don't know, probably a couple of years probably. But I just remember because they're so impactful, hey, you finally got to beat the shit out of that guy you wanted to kick his ass. And then when you do it, you're like, oh, that wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be.
Well, maybe that's the life lesson that your subconscious wanted to teach you.
Possibly,
It's hey, if you got what you wanted, it wouldn't really be that satisfying.
Oh, wow. Look at you, little miss.
Thank you. Some free therapy.
It's possible.
From an unlicensed non-professional.
Look, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is something that's you kind of look at it and you go, well, you're not going to get really what you're really hoping out of it.
Yeah. I remember specifically when I was in high school having a dream. And it was one of those dreams that took place where I lived. So it was even more confusing because you fall asleep, but you wake up in your own room. Uh-huh. But you're not up. It's your dream. Yeah. And I remember I was running from, I don't know, a monster, a ghost, whatever the fuck. And I made it to, I grew up in a cul-de-sac. So I made it to the house on the corner. Mm. And I remember trying to scream. And it was I couldn't scream.
Oh yeah, I've had
and
that.
I have lots of. So I'm sure you probably hear
what's that called?
Cat
it's called
growling.
Paralysis, demon paralysis or whatever.
Yeah, I get a lot of that because I'll be half awake, half asleep, and then I can't wake all the way up.
Man, but when you wake up, talk about relief. You're "But."
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, because you're struggling to get up, and your body won't let you.
That's what's the hard part. Is trying to sit up because you're like this. And you're trying to sit up.
And I'm sure I'm making those noises in my sleep. I'm sure I'm making can't scream.
Yeah, you're
noises.
You're trying to sit forward, but your body's just nah, we're asleep right now.
Cool dreams, though. I recently, and I don't know if it's because I've talked about it or was thinking about it.
Flying.
I can fly in my dreams.
Flying.
And the minute that I realize I'm dreaming.
Lucid dreams. That's what it's called.
Yeah. The minute, because I'll have dreams and I'll sit there and something will cue me and I'm like, oh, this is a dream. Oh, we're dreaming. And normally it's because like I can't, I can't.
You always go right to flying?
No, my
wait. So like when you can't speak, you think that you can?
Well, I'll sit there and something will be happening, and then I realize I can't speak, or something that'll cue me and it's a dream. As I'm starting in one location, I immediately move to another one that doesn't make sense. So my brain connects like, "Hey, you're dreaming."
Oh yeah, you're like.
So if I ever have a moment in my sleep where it's like, "Hey, I'm dreaming," I always say,
when you're flying. Here's a question: when you're flying, where do you make your where do you make yourself go?
Up.
No, I.
You can go forward to the right or to the left.
Okay. All right, Kitty. What I mean is like, all right. So when I start flying, I put myself in a large green field, like fields that I know of when I was in Florida. So like that's where I have a go-to front yard where I'm like, boom, right there.
Mine's city lights.
Ditches, and I'm like, okay, so
like Santa. It's like Santa looking down at city lights and some water sometimes.
I'm green-fielded acreage. Daylight, yeah. Daylight, green-fielded acreage. And usually it's something that, so like you can throw a Frisbee, right? And then if you threw a Frisbee, this is like one that's really easy for me to fly, is if I grab a Frisbee, it comes out of nowhere because you're dreaming. You can make up whatever you want. And I throw it and I stand on it. And then after I stand on it, I can fly. So I always have the Frisbee. As soon as I see Frisbee, I'm like, bro, give me. Boom. I throw it and then stand on it, and then boom, I'm up in the air.
I feel like, I don't know if I drop or running leap or something, but sometimes I can't. Sometimes I'll be dreaming.
See, because you don't have the thing that makes you do it.
But like, I can do it. Oh, maybe it's like 65%. I want to say 80%, but maybe it's not that high because the very last time I tried to do this, I couldn't fly. But I like went, sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm going to fly. And then I sink and I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. We might as well just get up. So I'll like wake up and I'll be like, that wasn't as fun as I wanted it to be. But like sometimes.
Yeah. So I think the object of flying in your dreams, one, it has to be lucid. You have to know you're dreaming.
Yes.
And then once you have the object can make you fly.
The very first time I did fly, I didn't have like a very conscious thought, hey, I'm dreaming. But when I was flying, I was like, oh, I'm dreaming. So now when I know that I'm dreaming.
So fun.
Yeah. I have like, it's exactly like a roller coaster. It's just as weightless. It feels just as real.
It does. It feels great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You feel wind. You're comfortable. You're not cold. You're not hot.
Yep. And you breathe it like in your air is like so fresh. And you're just like.
And you move. And then I also know
that.
you
can move like any direction, like everywhere. It is really an amazing feeling.
And it's weird because I still have a fear of heights when I'm flying.
Not when I'm flying.
Yeah, I don't feel like unsafe or anything, like I'm going to die. It's just
I've even fallen from flying in my dream and went through the earth because I was like, it doesn't matter what I hit. Because like you remember in the Matrix when he was like he jumped across the building and then he missed and then he was like that kind of thing. Instead of it doing that, I just went straight through it and then fucking came back up and out. And then I was just like, I can go wherever I want.
But mine's not like a fear. It's just like that kind of, I don't even know what causes it. But if you're like looking off of like the side of a building, that kind of like nausea, like a little, just whatever.
Queasiness.
Yeah, it's a little queasiness or a little like almost like maybe it's a balance thing or something.
Yeah.
Where I even get that on the 6th floor of our apartment because our apartment, I'm used to being this high. Mm-hmm. But when we lived on the 4th floor, I thought 5 was too high. But now when we walk on the 6th floor, if we ever walk around the building by the pool, it feels really high. Whatever that feeling is, I legitimately get when I'm flying in my dreams.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah. So that and but that's what the minute I like know that I'm dreaming, I'm like, we're gonna go for a flight. And then
that's usually your go-to.
Yeah, and then I like do whatever it is that I'm trying to do, and then I like tumble down, and I'm trying to. Sometimes I'll be like, let's catch it and get up, and sometimes I will be able to get up. So
you're like trying to like arc the wind.
It's almost like I can't say because dreams don't make sense. I know I'm not like necessarily jumping off a cliff, but it's like that where you fall before you go.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll try to fly, and
you're like a little glider in your own dreams.
I'm gliding. I don't ever think of I feel like I'm gliding through the dream. Like
That's
I'm
crazy because I fly. Like I.
You're like, Lucas is out there waving his arms in his dreams.
I don't have to do that. No, I fucking Superman fly. Like I don't wave my arms. I don't do shit. I only go close to the ground because I want to get the most gravitational pull and rush
go back up.
to Earth. And then I'm like up and I'll shoot straight up into the sky. I've never been to space though in my dreams. I've never gone out of the Earth. I've always stayed
Mine's like the Santa
within-
view, which I think is within the atmosphere as well.
Yeah, it's just like, and I've never really, I've gone like probably 25, 30 stories high, but I've never gone like up, like taller than mountains and crawl like across
I don't know
the
why I
earth.
feel like us talking about it means I won't be able to do it anymore. It's like talking about a magical power that you lose.
Hey man,
I'm hoping
mushrooms.
that I have.
Do mushrooms. You probably get
That's
there.
probably how people die on drugs.
I
Is they're
bet,
like, I
dude,
can
like, you're
fly,
like, I can
and they're
fly, and you're like, you can't.
yeah,
In
you're
your
on
brain,
something.
you can. but
Yeah,
not right
and then
now.
they jump off of a balcony.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They die.
They think they can fly. Yeah, you can't.
I know
You can't
people
fly
on
in
drugs
real
do
life.
think that they can fly.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I wonder if
know
they
people
also
do.
are people who dream that they're flying.
I don't know, but it's a lot of fun. I've always really enjoyed it. Every time I've been able to do it, and I mean,
Me too.
It's been a while since I've had the dream like that, but
The minute I stop falling and pick up speed and go up, I'm like, yes, this is what we wanted.
yeah, dude. And you can feel the air too, which is wild.
Yeah, the
You
air
can feel
and
the
height.
breeze, like on your skin. Like you can feel all of the movements of like if I was falling or like, cause like I've jumped out of trees plenty of times. Like I've jumped off cliffs. I do cliff diving out in Arizona, and every time I do any of that, like the way it feels, like, and then all of a sudden it stops. But like I have that same feeling constantly in the dreams when I'm actually flying.
That's what's. I also have this
But
thought.
also, it doesn't feel like when you're in a plane. You know, like when you pull up, you feel like G forces. You don't
Yeah.
feel that because you are flying and you're moving around. You don't feel the G force.
Mine feels more like from a roller coaster, which it's not so much like the G-force. It's just like after you go down the loop and then you pick back up, and it's got
Yeah.
that like light feeling.
Yeah, but the good
on
feeling-
a swing.
the good feeling-
like on
yeah.
a swing too,
Yeah.
a swing set.
So you don't feel the part that like it weighs you down. All you feel is a lightness going in all directions.
Yeah.
So like when you're flying upwards, you're getting that upward.
weightlessness.
Yeah, the weightlessness after the momentum is gone, like pushed you through. That weightlessness is what I feel constantly. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It really is fun. It's a good feeling.
So I hope you enjoyed this episode. We have a really cool guest next week. We got a few guests lined up after that as well. If you're enjoying this, like and subscribe on both Spotify and YouTube.
Yay.
Yay.